Chivers hurried to her side.
Alice, are you all right? Where's that strange young fellow?
Alice took a breath. And when she spoke, there was a catch in her voice. Gone. He asked me to give you a message. More of a question, really.
Speak, human. It is of no consequence.
The Krevix rasped the phrase along with Alice.
How many roads must a man walk down?
The effect on Chivers was instantaneous. Colour drained from his face.
The doctor! Oh my... How could he... How could I have forgotten?
Krevix pointed a claw at the time machine.
Go, human Chivers. It is time.
The professor swayed, his hand at his temple. Alice saw something in his expression she'd never seen before. Doubt. He backed away from his machine.
Just a moment. This is a significant decision. I cannot leave so precipitately.
Alice was taken aback. He'd been so driven, single-minded. This was his life's work.
I could be lost forever. What will happen to my children, my grandchildren?
Alice's jaw dropped. In the 11 months she'd worked with him, Chivers never mentioned a family. She just assumed. The hypercube in her hand glowed and crackled into life.
Ah! Got my message, Professor?
Alice's heart leapt. It was the doctor's voice.
I'd step away from the Krevix. They're going to get a bit agitated.
The 3 insects were scraping their mandibles, hesitating.
I notice things, you see. Can't go through the universe looking ahead. As Auntie Mabel used to say, look up, look down, look all around. It was the tie on the wall that gave it away. Your old school tie, Chivers. I know those colours, seen them before. So it's no surprise you made it into Oxford. After all, you had a very cool science teacher.
A young man in a bow tie breezed through the laboratory door. Ian Chesterton of Coal Hill School, he elaborated. The doctor grinned at Professor Chivers. How have you been, Cedric? The doctor winked at Alice while prodding the nearest Krevix. The monster swayed unsteadily. She managed to speak. How did you... No, Cedric, he finished. We ran into each other in the 60s. Of course, he was a lot younger and I was a lot older. I recommended some music to him. What did you think of Dylan? Cedric Chivers stared at the doctor in wonder.
It changed my life. Concerts, rallies. Oh, we lost our fire in the 70s, but by then I'd met Joyce.
And had children and grandchildren. The doctor pointed at a crudely drawn clock face pinned up beside the professor's old school tie. Come on, you don't think Cedric drew that himself, do you? Had it always been there? Alice wasn't sure. Beneath it was a photograph of Professor Chivers surrounded by youngsters. 3 boys, 2 girls. That was definitely new. Cedric looked too. His eyes misted over, his head filling with memories he didn't know he never had. A tiny tweak to your life, the doctor murmured. Just enough to make you pause for thought before splitting the universe. Enough to blur their view of what else I'm doing. Hope you don't mind, Cedric. The Krevix stepped towards the doctor.
You are but one man. What can one do against us?
The doctor raised his chin defiantly and fixed them with a steely glare. Oh, I'm much more than one. I'm an 11-man team, Doctors United. Right now, you're in goal, Krevix, and I'm Mike Gatting. He stole a sideways glance at a doubtful-looking Alice. He's good, isn't he? The Krevix moved around him, circling but not closing. Not yet. The doctor clicked his fingers. Sorry. Beckham. I'm David Beckham. Went football, got cricket. Sorry, everyone. Alice noticed him glancing at the door. He was buying time. He carried on. You made one mistake, Krevix. You gave me the idea to talk to myself. You lot like order, inevitability, but for now, let's try a bit of imagination. Imagine this, Krevix. Imagine my last words as jigsaw pieces holding the universe together.
Your words were not sent.
Oh, but they were. They were held in that hypercube, waiting to go, in its future and in its past. So when I took it from here and plugged it into my TARDIS, the old girl pinged it out. Delivery by whatever means necessary. Radio waves, psychic projection, crystal balls from the 15th century to the 49th, ending up on Tarsus 6 for lucky 7. The doctor spun on his heels, placed a finger on his nose and pointed to Alice. What's the most important thing in the universe, Watson? Physics? Alice suggested. That's right, people. People, Alice, they're what bind history together. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a boy who ceased to exist, and so the universe ended. Nah, rubbish story, here's a better one. There was once a brave ship's captain. He survived the Tarsis Ultra Supernova thanks to my friend Ace. That gave him perspective. Captain 01 went home to his wife, a changed man, and carrying that hypercube as a souvenir. They'd met years before when he'd ferried her around the galaxy having adventures, righting wrongs, my kind of people. Thing is, even before that, Mrs. 01, or Miss Lyric Erskine as she was then, was saved from certain death by my mate Donna. Krivix, facing the doctor, swayed. His two companions fell to their knees. The doctor rubbed his hands and continued. He was enjoying himself. Now, take Joseph. As a New Vegas police chief, he was a bit of a liability. But as mayor, Joe threw one hell of a party. He kicked off a golden age of tourism. His monument, his memorial hotel, casino and wedding chapel, where all the hoopiest space dudes get hitched or have second honeymoons. The doctor pulled the hollow photo from his jacket and waved it in the air. A claw reached out and he snatched it away. You needed Guy Taylor to be wiped from history so you could use his time machine. But he's the end of a story I made happen. Born, 9 months after this photo, I guess. Of course, Alice, little gestures add up too. Like returning lost property, say, for instance, an Ovid sphere left in Edwardian England. The Ovids were most impressed with my friend Tegan when we finally got round to handing it back. They liked a direct approach. So they shared their psychokinetic know-how with future humanity in return. Alice, remove the kinetic stabilizers. Alice looked blankly at the doctor. What? Spirally bits, he prompted, at the front of the capsule. The Krivix on the floor twitched as Alice disconnected the components. Their leader was concentrating its entire will on remaining upright. The doctor went on talking. Of course, none of this would matter one jot if the Krivix hadn't come here, to Cedric. Ever heard of the Babel Sphere, Alice? It was a hyper-intelligent supercomputer gone insane. Surprising how often that happens. You think they develop a patch. Anyway, I got myself to drop it off at the Stellaris Museum of Artificial Intelligence on demo mode. I told the copy of me inside to broadcast certain names, certain places like Chivers, Oxford, Earth, 2013. Did you know the museum's marketing department uses sub-pulsar transmissions to advertise? I did. That's how it reached you. Sub-pulsar transmissions bounce through the gaps between universes. Funny how science gets co-opted, eh? NASA invented the non-stick frying pan, you know? Good job I told myself to save all that research on the quiet ones. Dazed Alice handed the doctor the rods from the capsule. He grinned and stepped past a Krivix to the filing cabinet in the corner. Of course, you can't send a load of psychic messages without interference. Ba-da-bum, 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 bum-bum. There was a particular blockage in the 1930s. Fortunately, I helped myself clear it and saw off the baddies while I was at it. Gets terribly complicated, this sort of thing.